What actually controversial opinion do you have? I believe that parents should be given a grace period after giving birth in which they have the choice to humanely euthanize the child if it unexpectedly comes out with a disability. I agree with this. The emotional and financial burden of having a child with a disability is so utterly taxing to the parents involved. Why drag down two established lives to raise a child who will never be able to experience life fully? As someone who has grown up watching my mother's whole life change for the worse due to my brother's disability, I can totally understand your viewpoint. However, it still sounds pretty awful. My brother has autism. My whole family has worse lives because of it. I have autism. Can't communicate verbally, but text is okay. I have made my family's lives worse, and they would have been better off had I never been born. I've overheard my parents saying that I'm their prison sentence, and I haven't spoken to my sister or brother in years, even though I see them all the time. They don't look my way, and I pretend that my fear of eye contact is the reason I don't look back. You know, the shitty thing about autism is that I'm aware of everything that's going on, and I see how things work, for the most part, but I just can't communicate. It's like my body language and verbal skills are paralyzed. But I can express myself so damn clearly when I write my thoughts down. Yes, someone is home, I just can't come out to play. I'm totally dependent on my parents because I can't do things like buy groceries or get haircuts by myself, no matter how hard I try. I've written it all out in steps. Walk into store, find items, put items on counter, pay the cashier, grab the bags, exit the store. But then as soon as I walk into the store, it's like a crazy acid trip of sparkling beings and strange lights. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel completely out of place. Anyways, of course it's too late to kill myself now, as a young adult. That would devastate my family, and the savings of not having to deal with me as an idiot-dependent adult just wouldn't be worth it. So I'm just biding my time, living for them and trying not to be too much of a burden. I'm not depressed, but I feel like I'm overstaying my welcome here. I don't contribute to anything, and I know that people don't want anything to do with me. I wouldn't either. So I just look down at my hands and wonder why the rest of me can't be so normal. I think the anti-bullying propaganda is ridiculous. Bullies don't disappear upon reaching adulthood, and it's imperative to teach children how to deal with a-holes. Edit. Allow me to clarify. As I'm getting PM'd, I absolutely do not condone bullies. I simply believe that personality is always going to be present. I moved 18 times by the time I graduated high school. I was never at a school long enough to experience much of anything but bullies. I was lucky and had a father that owns a chain of martial arts schools. I'm in no way a bully, unless you're my little brother. We need to stop punishing kids for standing up for themselves. Chicken? Anyways, I couldn't agree more. I've dealt with bullies in the workplace, as a professional adult, and am astonished at the passive response of most people, including management. In one case, I allowed the person's bullying behavior to slide, but as it stifled the team's productivity, it was no longer acceptable. I went through management for help on dealing with the bully, but in the end had to use good old confrontation and rally group strength to shut him down. He left the team soon after. I grew up with the expectation that you need to take care of yourself. As an adult, it will be rare for someone to punish that bully. Kids need to be taught to stand up for themselves and others. The advances of modern medicine are introducing too many bad genes into the human genetic pool and exposing the human race to a weakened genetic makeup. Upvote because it's nice and controversial. I'll ask this question though. What exactly do you mean by weakened genetic makeup? To me, that suggests genetics which are poorly adapted to the environment one lives in. In our environment, with modern medicine, many of these bad genes just don't matter because they're not a bar to successful life. Think nearsightedness. In Neolithic days, yes, that's a critical genetic weakness. Hard to hunt like that. These days, what with A, less bow and arrow hunting, and B, well, glasses, poor vision is actually not a handicap. Willing to hear argumentation on this. Everyone seems to be looking at this the wrong way. This is not about resistant bacteria or antibiotic abuse. It is about diseases like asthma, type 1 diabetes, Treacher-Collins syndrome, and various others that are spread via genes. I speak with knowledge on this subject because I am asthmatic, my wife is type 1, and I have a cousin with Treacher-Collins, and I have seen my cousin's children come out far more deformed than himself. I see diabetes type 1 spreading through my wife's family with nearly every offspring. Because of these issues, we have decided to not have children, but any offspring created from people like this live with a severely diminished quality of life. People with these diseases survive thanks to modern medicine, but in doing so, create offspring with these traits either existing or recessive in their offspring. You wanted controversial, how's that? I'm a supporter of gays and equal rights and absolutely hate the gay pride movement. It has become overly sexualized and annoying. I can honestly see why so many in the anti-gay community consider it a perverted lifestyle. We also put a lot of emphasis on propping up gays and lesbians as if their life is something abnormal. We're made to think that it's different in such a way that people need special therapy and support just to deal with it. Fact is that there's nothing special about it. You're gay or you're straight, and who the fuck cares? I believe that some people are simply not meant to be great, or even successful. Not that those who aren't are wasting their potential, but they simply don't have what it takes, either the intelligence, the charisma, or the willpower. Some people are simply meant to be working the checkout line, and that's okay. That's pretty controversial in a society that believes everyone can do anything they set their mind to. I think is an American mentality. Everyone will succeed if they try. The truth is, only a few will succeed. There are a bunch of factors to take into account. The probability of a child, who lives in poverty and attends a school that underperformed, will grow up to be an astronaut is highly unlikely. I think the reason why America has that mentality because this is a country known to be the land of opportunity. The older I get, the more I have seen absolute idiots become successful armed with an unyielding definition of purpose. Hard, determined work will outperform intelligence and skill set in the long haul. Most of us are lazy, wasting time on Reddit instead of actively pursuing what we truly want. Soldiers aren't automatically heroes. As a veteran, I agree with you. I've seen plenty of soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen who are absolute scumbags. I've also seen plenty of perfectly decent people in uniform, and I've seen a few people who blew my mind with how selfless and good they were. I'm uncomfortable when people fawn over me, and I was the same way when I was on active duty. I sat at a desk for 5 years, never deployed, and don't agree with any hostilities we've engaged in as a country in decades. I wore a uniform and had a decently paying job for that long because I wanted to get my college education for free. I am no hero, nor are 99% of people in the military. If women have the right to choose to be parents, so do men. A guy should be able to waive all parental rights and responsibilities. But it's a one-way street. Once you give them up, you can't get them back without the mother's consent. I agree. The idea that a woman could lie to me about birth control, or even willfully tamper with condoms, etc., impregnate herself and have a child without my knowledge or permission, and then expect me to support it for life, possibly with limited ability to even interact with it, is appalling. If an effective male pill existed, or vasectomies were 100% reversible and less invasive, I would completely disagree with you. I believe that being a stay-at-home mom to one child is definitely not the job most women make it out to be, especially if your husband has to come home and cook and clean and do the grocery shopping. As a stay-at-home mom of currently one child, I agree. I think I have it easy right now. I always tell my husband that even on rough days with my son, at least I can be in my pajamas. I rage a little bit when I hear women talking about how men who work full-time careers to pay for everything should do half of the housework when they are married to a stay-at-home mom. Just no. I don't view the extremely handicapped to be people. I went to high school with a kid who couldn't do anything for himself, including breath. He just laid in his chair staring off into space. He was not capable of moving other than occasionally twitching and making the scariest shrieking noise you have ever heard, and he did not respond to people trying to interact with him. He required 24/7 care and never has any chance of living a normal life since he relies 100% on others to do everything for him, including breath. To me, that is not a person, that is just something that happens to have a heartbeat. I work with severely disabled individuals, and I have to say, though I don't agree with them not being human, that these people were not meant to survive. They have families who care about them, but their lives become dedicated to keeping a probably miserable lump alive. It's a huge waste of resources, though it does keep me employed. I've grown to care about every single person I've taken care of, but there is no quality of life there. There's nothing. We shouldn't be sending everyone to college. Not everyone is cut out for it, not everyone is smart enough, and not everyone will get much out of it. We still need people to fix leaky pipes and roofs, to mow the lawn, to drive your kids to school on the bus. If you want to go to a trade school to be an auto mechanic, and that's your thing, more power to you. Do what you love and do it well. If you want to get a job out of high school instead of continuing your education, you should be able to do that, without scorn or unsolicited advice, encouraging you to go study somewhere you don't want to go, taking on debt you may not be able to repay. The push to send everyone to college no matter what is ridiculous. I believe everyone should have an equal opportunity to go to college, but they definitely shouldn't be failures if they can't or don't want to. The rate at which a man dies at the hands of another man is the lowest it has ever been, yet people insist on saying, "What is this world coming to?" Whenever there's a murder, people kill other people. It sucks, but it happens and it's nature. What actually controversial opinion do you have? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.